The very first African Social Media Influencer Summit is underway here in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, the diplomatic heartbeat of the continent. This landmark event has brought together prominent digital voices from across Africa, engaging in vibrant discussions about reshaping the continent's narrative. As a part of the summit, participants have been exploring Addis Ababa's most iconic sites. This morning, they visited the Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute, the Gulele Women in Jera Entrepreneurs Initiative, the Riverside Project, and the Adwa Victory Memorial Museum. Later in the afternoon, their journey continued with tours of Addis Ababa International Convention Center and Made in Ethiopia Expo. Hello and welcome once again. I am Zelalem Ibeltal alongside my colleague Gamachsa Mandida. Stay tuned. Gamachsa African Social Media Influencer Summit has just been kicked off this morning in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and social media influencers from across Africa are engaging in this super important continental summit, African Social Media Influencer Summit. This is a historic moment for social media influencers, and of course, this is phenomenal for African narratives. You know, the whole idea of organizing this continental summit, African Social Media Influencer Summit, is to shape and reshape the continent's Africa's narrative, isn't it? And this summit is, of course, organized by Pulse of Africa and AGA. Both organizations are Pan-African organizations dedicated to present and represent the interests of the continent Africa. And we are very much proud as Pulse of Africa to co-organize African Social Media Influencer Summit, the first of its kind. Pulse of Africa, as we know, is a Pan-African media institution dedicated to the voice of Africa, the face and voice of Africa. Pulse of Africa was established a few months ago, and it was inaugurated by the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed. And over the past few months, Pulse of Africa has been able to get millions, hundreds of thousands of followers, both in Facebook, in YouTube, and other social media platforms as well. And we do kindly ask our audience to follow and subscribe our page on Facebook, on YouTube as well. African Social Media Influencer Summit, you know, the influencers have been visiting various sites, and this afternoon they visited Addis Ababa International Convention Center. And Addis Ababa International Convention Center is one of the biggest conference center in Addis Ababa, which has the capacity to host more than 2,000 attendees, participants at a time. And one of the things that signifies and that increase the prominence and significance of Addis Ababa city as a city is, you know, the prominence in the existence of conference centers such as Addis Ababa International Conference Center, Addis Ababa International Convention Center, and African Social Media Influencers this afternoon visited this iconic site as well. Gamach.
Yes, Zelalem, excuse me. Addis Ababa International Convention Center is one of the best places in Addis Ababa that you need to go and visit. Well, it's a conference center, of course. I just had, some chances, to go over and see what it looks like to be there. And I observed, interesting things. For example, the hotels there are a five-star hotel. And also it is situated, on a large piece of land, plot of land, and it allows especially foreign direct investors or investors from abroad to come to Ethiopia and play their peculiar roles in enhancing, import substitution in the country. Ethiopia needs this kind of thing. Import substitution is something that the Ethiopian government needs badly, because Africa, Ethiopia and Africa in general need economic sovereignty, and this can be, of course, realized by having, just this kind of center, such a center. So Addis Ababa International Convention Center is the property of the people, Ethiopians, I could say, because they have taken part in the building of that site. And you can go and just be part, so that you will play a peculiar role. You can have some share there. Why is it so important? Because the Ethiopian government is committed to substitute imports and become, be able to provide, a situation where people are invited to play their roles as contributors for the country's economic development. And having this international convention center is very good. It invites people, especially investors from across Africa and the global, from the rest of the world, and it really plays a big role, I would say.
Yeah. Now we are looking African social media influencers at Addis Ababa International Convention Center, and they are being participated at Ethiopian coffee ceremony there. Ethiopia is known for coffee. Ethiopian coffee is prominent across the world, and Ethiopian coffee ceremony is part of Ethiopian culture, and they are being served there, as you can see. And this is Addis Ababa International Convention Center. It is beautiful and magnificent building, a very huge building. Like I said before, it has a capacity to host more than 2,000 attendees at a time. It's a huge building, and we remember that, for example, over the last few months, Addis Ababa International Convention Center hosted major international conferences. For example, Italy-Africa Summit has been conducted here at Addis Ababa International Convention Center. And African Climate Summit has also been conducted here. We do remember that Ethiopia also hosted African Climate Summit. Ethiopia has been recognized for its climate mitigation activity, and over the past 7 years, for example, Ethiopia has been able to plant more than 48 billion trees, and Ethiopia's climate mitigation activity is phenomenal, and it has got the recognition of international organizations. And of course, Ethiopia is going to host COP32 by 2027, and Ethiopia's significant stride in terms of global climate change activity is recognized. Now what we are exactly looking is African social media influencers visit at Addis Ababa International Convention Center. We can see it is very much colorful and beautiful, and our reporters are also there. Pulse of Africa journalists are there with African social media influencers, and they're gonna bring us their impression later. And as a part of their visit at Addis Ababa International Convention Center, African social media influencers are also visiting Made in Ethiopia Expo. Made in Ethiopia Expo is an initiative that's to initiate Ethiopian manufacturers to manufacture products for export. Much of the history of Ethiopia, much of the history of Africa is associated with importing processed products from across the world. Africa as a continent has huge potential, huge capacity in utilizing resources, in processing goods, in processing products, and in exporting and getting benefit out of the export. But we as Africans are exporting raw materials, and we are importing processed goods and products from across the world, and this has a huge negative impact, I would say, in Africa's trade balance, the export and import balance. We can see a huge gap between export and import. Africans are importing a lot, but exporting the export and import balance in African countries, we can see a huge gap. Africans are importing a lot, while they are not exporting processed products and goods. So Made in Ethiopia initiative can be taken and considered as an initiative to initiate Africans, to initiate Ethiopians to process products, to manufacture products and export, and getting benefit out of that. And the benefits of Made in Ethiopia Expo, Made in Ethiopia initiative is not limited to getting foreign exchange For example, the manufacturing companies in Ethiopia are also creating huge opportunity, job opportunity for youths. We know that Ethiopia is a country of youth, like Africa as a continent. Africa is also defined by its burgeoning youth population. So it's highly imperative for African governments, for African stakeholders to engage the society, to engage the youth in manufacturing by creating job opportunity like this one. So the African social media influencers will take a lesson from this. Yes, this is one of the visit, and the Made in Ethiopia Expo will also encourage skill and technology transfer, knowledge transfer. For example, the youth who are engaged in Made in Ethiopia Expo will incur lesson, will obtain lesson from this Made in Ethiopia Expo, and this could also be another lesson for Africans, and this could be quite a lesson for African social media influencers to take and to promote and to propagate to the rest of African society.
Yes, Zalalem. Well, it is very much well known that Africa is endowed with natural resources. If we just go back a few months and remember from the African Union Summit, the 29th African Union Summit, during that time, African leaders unanimously made a decision, which is of course, to value add to their natural resources and then export them. So the continent, benefits out of it. Many countries many companies, from abroad come to Africa, and they of course focus on extracting the resources, and they cannot establish, industries, factories here for a variety of reasons, and one of them is, of course, they don't have, just such a center that allows investors from across the continent and the rest of the globe, the rest of the continent, to come to Ethiopia or any African country and then think about, how they go about investing. But this time, the facilities, as you might have observed earlier, I hope you've paid a visit to this center,
yes,
previously, and you see it is a package. I mean, it has everything that say an investor might need to stay in Ethiopia and then deal with say government officials or colleagues who are in the field of manufacturing, who are investors like one of them. So these facilities are provided by the Ethiopian government so that factories and industries can be, established in the country. And when this happens, when these facilities are, of course, provided, then the country will be able to set, factories, industries that, as you said earlier, offer job opportunities for the youth. And because the center didn't exist, back in the years, investors, coming from abroad were in difficulty to deal with appropriate government officials to discuss, how they could be, investing in the country. So this center is very significant, very much significant, and it is not just a center for Ethiopia, but we can say it is a center for the whole Africa, because Ethiopia is, a gate, and investors could come from, the Middle East, for example. They could come from the rest of Africa, and they meet here to talk about how they will be able to invest more in the country, and they can have, just people to talk to, even though they have citizenship elsewhere. Okay, they can find, people, say, similar investors in Addis Ababa as a seat of African Union, the African Union. Investors from abroad can find, investors who reside in Ethiopia, possibly, who can work together. So this center is very important, not only for Ethiopia, but for the rest of Africans as well. This is, a place where they can meet and talk about business, talk about enhancing the manufacturing industry, investing more, especially import substitution is something that we cannot ignore, especially these days. For example, the recent Middle East crisis teaches a lesson to Africa. The fact that, Africans must be able to start, to be self-reliant. Okay, well, we are dependent for imports, say for example oil. Okay, we are dependent on other countries for imports of machineries, for example. But how about, we find, ways to manufacture them here? Okay, if we want to do that, then you need to invite, for example, people from other countries to come to Ethiopia and invest, and then, start manufacturing them here. And this center allows, people to come together and then discuss, as I said earlier, business matters. And
exactly,
it's so important.
Yes, viewers, you are watching our Pulse of Africa's live stream, which focus on African Social Media Influencer Summit ASMIS 2026. Do subscribe our page, YouTube and Facebook page. Yes, Gamach, Addis Ababa International Convention Center is being visited by African social media influencers, and alongside their visit, they have been participating in Ethiopian coffee ceremony. Coffee is everything for Ethiopians.
Yes.
For example, before we sit down for this important discussion, we had some coffee, yeah?
Of course, we did.
Yeah. Every Ethiopians, almost we can say every Ethiopians enjoy coffee ceremony. But beyond that enjoyment, beyond that cultural value, coffee is also bloodline for Ethiopian economy. The majority of Ethiopia's foreign exchange income generated from coffee, and Ethiopia is also the birthplace of coffee. And international visitors, international investors, foreigners enjoyed Ethiopian coffee and they admired Ethiopian coffee. And I remember some 3-4 years ago, I went to London for a scholarship, and I had the opportunity and privilege to visit BBC headquarters in London at Great Portland Street. And fortunately, I met my role model then, Steven Sacker. He was producer of Hard Talk. Now he is no longer producing that important program, Hard Talk. He has retired from BBC. But then we met, and he took me to a cafeteria nearby BBC headquarters, and he invited me a coffee, and it was, super powerful coffee, and asked him what coffee it is. I mean, he replied, it's Ethiopian coffee. We imported this from Ethiopia. And I was very much encouraged by Ethiopian coffee export. And Ethiopian coffee is known everywhere, whether you go to Middle East or Europe or America or China, one of the important foreign exchange commodity and item for Ethiopia is coffee. And it's great that African social media influencers are enjoying Ethiopian coffee alongside Ethiopian coffee ceremony. Let's take some short break, and we're going to be back to share other updates and perspectives regarding African Social Media Influencer Summit ASMIS 2026. Stay tuned.
Something powerful is already happening. Over 200 content creators sitting together, aligning, questioning.
Deciding what Africa's digital future should actually look like.
Because this isn't just about content anymore.
It's about direction.
Millions of followers and millions of eyes.
Now moving with shared purpose.
Stories are being shaped with intention.
Narratives are being clarified.
Agendas are being defined.
Because when Africa speaks in fragments,
It gets misunderstood.
But when it moves together,
It becomes undeniable.
what's happening here doesn't stay here. It reaches the world. This is the African Social Media Influencer Summit.
Yeah, you have been watching African social media influencers' beautiful and productive visit to Addis Ababa's most important iconic places. For example, African social media influencers visited Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute, Riverside Project, and Adwa Victory Memorial Museum, Addis Ababa International Convention Center, and Made in Ethiopia Expo. And the next destination is expected to be their visit at Ethiopian Sport Park. More than 200 social media influencers have come to Addis Ababa. Let me mention some of the influencers from Africa. Tenge of Uganda, Wodi Maya of Ghana, Delish Matthew of Namibia, Zero Brainer of Tanzania, William Last of Botswana, Adonai of Ethiopia, Brain Jota of Nigeria, and many other social media influencers from across Africa are here in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, to discuss on the ways of reshaping African narratives. And as a part of the summit this morning and afternoon as well, these social media influencers have been visiting many iconic places. Gamachis earlier on, we have been discussing on their visit regarding Addis Ababa International Convention Center and their enjoyment at Ethiopian coffee ceremony. And, you know, off the record, you were telling me about your experience of travel experience in Nairobi and Dakar as well. Let us share this experience to the audience, in particular your experience of coffee and things like that.
Well, Ethiopian coffee is among best of the best, I can say, and I think everybody knows that. And for you surprise, when I paid a visit to Nairobi and Dakar, I came across, you know, a very special encounter where the people there, I just entered, you know, a coffee house, and I found Ethiopian coffee, well, the one, you know, exported from Ethiopia to these coffee houses in both Dakar and Nairobi. And I asked them, you know, how they happen to import, you know, just that Ethiopian coffee, and they said the aroma, the taste of Ethiopian coffee is of highest standard, and they consider it to be, you know, a standard for the coffee they serve there. And I enjoyed it. Truly speaking, you know, I don't drink coffee very often, but I do drink. But I'm not fond of it very much, but I like it actually. But as they said it was surprisingly a first time for me, you know, to encounter an export standard Ethiopian coffee. And I realized again, it was unique to the one I've been drinking. I had been drinking, you know, in the country.
Yeah.
And that just gave me a lesson that, of course, the standard the export standard Ethiopian coffee is unique, and it's very taste, and it's very aroma.
Of course, there are varieties of Ethiopian coffee species, and
yes,
I mean, you may get the one that's powerful.
Yeah, of course, some of them are fruity and they have floral aromas. Some others taste like wine, okay, and they have, you know, multi-dimensional tasting experience. People have multi-dimensional tasting experience with Ethiopian coffee, and ever since, you know, my encounter in Dakar and Nairobi regarding the Ethiopian export standard coffee, I just came back to Ethiopia. When I came back to Ethiopia, I started to search for the same quality coffee in the country, and I realized that, of course, as people said, Ethiopian coffee is unique and it's very taste. And and truly speaking, that coffee, I believe, is not very much known to the public at large, because it is far-fetched, and really it tells exactly the Ethiopian export standard coffee is really unique in its very taste.
Yes, you know, coffee for Ethiopia is, you know, everything. Like I said before, coffee for Ethiopia is culture. Ethiopians enjoy coffee ceremony. Coffee for Ethiopia is its economy. You know, Ethiopia earns billions of dollars from exports of coffee, and coffee for Ethiopia is, you know, source of, you know, job opportunity. I mean, millions, tens of millions of Ethiopians are engaged in coffee as well. So coffee for Ethiopia is, you know, bloodline. Let us discuss on African social media influencers visit to a sport park. You know, Addis Ababa recently in particular is very much known in its sport park. You know, in the prior days, what Addis Ababa had lacked was sport park. You know, you could enjoy and you could see bustling cities of Addis Ababa, but in reality Addis Ababa was hungered of sports parks. But recently, in particular, alongside Addis Ababa corridor development, we have encountered the proliferation, the increment of sports parks in the city, and that's very much essential for the residents of the city. I mean, residents of Addis Ababa can go to sport parks and can enjoy sport parks and can have a little exercise there and can, you know, sustain healthy and active life.
Zalalam, you remind me a very important point about sports, the significance of sports centers. Back in the years, you know, in America, cities had sports centers where everybody, we could say, not limited with age, everybody would go to those centers and sports centers and exercise, because authorities during that time, you know, just believed that sport really maintains the health of citizens. So wherever you have, you know, schools, they have, you know, fields to exercise, fields to play, playgrounds, you know, for example, for various sports activities. Say boys, you know, play football, girls play volleyball, etc. And they really knew, they really understood what sports gives to citizens, especially to young people. If you want your people to live longer, then you engage them, you know, in sports activities. And when you have, you know, more sports sites like the one you mentioned now, which is, you know, the sports park, people will have the opportunity to go to these sports and then, you know, exercise, engage in various games. And obviously this is going to give them, you know, good health. And especially in 21st century, where our our eating habits are changing, then we need to find, you know, some way to burn, you know, what we eat. And the significance of these sports activities to enhance, you know, good health is really very, very great. So if you just, you know, look back to records and see for yourself, you learn that the Ethiopian government has been establishing these playgrounds here and there in the city, and this allows, you know, young people especially, you know, to engage in games, in football, in anything that really allows them to do exercise, physical exercise, and that really maintains, you know, just their health. So sports activities, sport sites are not, you know, luxury for citizens. They are very necessary things. And the fact that, you know, the Ethiopian government is giving more attention to sports centers is, you know, a very good thing. And influencers, you know, as they visit these places, I do hope that they learn its significance.
Exactly. Yes, you know, as you rightly and interestingly elaborated on, you know, sport parks are not a luxury for the society. I mean, you know, the residents of Addis Ababa really deserve a dignified life, a healthy life, and such kind of sports parks will allow them to live a healthy and active life. You know, currently we are encountering and we are witnessing the increment of non-communicable diseases such as diabetes, stroke, heart attack, and other non-communicable diseases. And most of these diseases are lack of healthy life, lack of active life, lack of exercise, and the fact that Addis Ababa is transforming in terms of this kind of sport parks is a good opportunity and it's good news for the residents of the city. And African social media influencers are visiting the city. You know, I think they have had a productive time today. They have started the 2026 African Social Media Influencers Summit today, and it's going to continue tomorrow as well, May 7 and May 8, 2026. So African social media influencers will share their impression of the city as well. I mean, Addis Ababa is transforming in many ways. You know, Addis Ababa enjoyed infrastructure, huge infrastructure, road, railway, airway as well. We can talk and we can mention Ethiopian Airlines, which is the biggest airlines in the continent, which is the pride of Ethiopia, the pride of Africa. Ethiopian Airlines, in fact, has been connecting countries of Africa for so long. You know, over the past many decades, Ethiopian Airlines has been serving Africans, you know, to connect, to integrate with the rest of the world. So the transformation of Addis Ababa has been visited by African social media influencers, but the main purpose is to give them a glimpse to Africa, because we said that Ethiopia, Addis Ababa in particular, is the political and diplomatic heartbeat of the continent. African social media influencers will also engage in substantive discussion among themselves regarding the ways of reshaping the narratives of Africa, and that's the very purpose. By the way, this 2026 African Social Media Influencer Summit has been organized by Pulse of Africa and AGA, and of course there are numerous contributors who contributed for the success of this important continental summit, and we're going to mention the contributors later. But these two organizations of AGA Enterprise and Pulse of Africa have organized the 2026 African Social Media Influencer Summit, the first of its kind, and we feel very much proud to be part of this phenomenal continental event, Pulse of Africa, as Pulse of Africa. And we kindly ask our viewers to follow and subscribe our page on Facebook and on YouTube as well. So Gamaj, the narratives of Africa, let us return a little bit back to our discussion, and let us share and entertain ideas regarding the narratives of Africa, because tomorrow they're going to sit down to share experience and knowledge and exposure regarding ways of shaping the narratives of Africa, the understanding of Africa. You know, when these influencers are living in their respective countries, and when they do not have exposure of other African countries, their understanding of Africa is going to be limited. And organizing such kind of continental summit is, you know, important, crucial in terms of, you know, enhancing experience sharing. You know, for example, yesterday, Sierra Leone influencers were here at Pulse of Africa Studio, and they told us that this is the first time to come to Ethiopia, and you know, they were amazed very much by what they saw in Addis Ababa. And you know, this could be, this shouldn't be like, you know, their first experience. I mean, they should come to Ethiopia more often. You know, Ethiopia is the diplomatic center of the continent, and you know, Africa needs to unlock, African countries need to unlock, need to integrate each other. You know, it shouldn't be a big deal, for example, for Ethiopian influencers to go to Morocco and to enjoy beaches of Morocco. And it shouldn't be trouble for Ugandan influencers to go to Johannesburg and to enjoy the beauty of Johannesburg. I mean, we need to be integrated. You know, there is also a platform, I mean, there is initiative that encourage African countries to integrate with each other, African Continental Free Trade Area, and the major objective of that initiative is, of course, to integrate and to connect Africa through trade and economy. And you know, that kind of initiative is very much essential for African countries to integrate with each other. We need to think as one. You know, the inspiration and the vision of our forefathers, such as Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, Julius Nyerere of Tanzania, and other forefathers, was to see a united Africa and to call Africa as a United States of Africa, where 54 countries of Africa come to one. See, for example, the United States of America. You know, the strength is behind United States of America is their unity. Different and distinct states come together and they establish United States of America, and that country has become the most powerful, at least one of the most powerful country on earth. So it is very much imperative for Africa to integrate with each other, and platforms like this one, African Social Media Influencer, will have a pivotal role in bringing Africans together and in charting a new chapter together.
Well, Zelalem, yes, I agree with you, absolutely. In the past years, just let's go back and try to examine how previous empires, how they acted to unify, for example, Europe. The Roman Empire, had military capabilities, and of course, it marched to various European countries to conquer respective nations, and then to establish the Roman Empire, to come out and then to unify them just by force, compelling, respective countries. But unfortunately, that didn't work very much. We know that eventually the Roman Empire collapsed. Now, we clearly see that the motivation for these nations under the Roman Empire were forced to come together. Now, when it comes to Africa, you need to give Africans, a very good reason to unite. And influencers, social media influencers, play their role, their peculiar role here. Now, as you said earlier, as influencers, African influencers can move from one country to another, from their countries to another country, and then they will be able to see the good things in these countries, just they visit, and they go back to their respective countries, they return and talk about, just these opportunities. And now the respective countries, will, can, for example, want to integrate economically, socially, and culturally. Now, my point is, you make this unification of Africa or integration of African countries motivated intrinsically from within. Just they need to see how each of them can support one another, how they can contribute for the development of the other, and then, for example, they can have a platform where they lay ground to do that.
Exactly.
Okay, so the role influencers, social media influencers play here is so huge, so big. They play really, peculiar roles. Look, they visited these important spots in Addis Ababa, and then upon their arrival in their respective countries, they talk about them. And the people there could have, interest about, these spots in Addis Ababa and the opportunities to collaborate, in trade, for example, in investment. And perception matters. And we're talking about, having a good perception about Africa. And the role the influencers play here is very much important.
Exactly.
Now, they can convince, for example, an investor, okay, to come to Ethiopia and invest, because, when they see the favorable conditions for investment, they report it to the right people in their countries. Now, those people can come to Ethiopia, and at the same time, Ethiopians will have, a chance to see the potential of people in the countries of these influences, to invite them, okay, to bring them to Ethiopia and then engage in economic activities, in investments.
Absolutely, governments. Yeah, recently it has become very much fashionable for African scholars, for African politicians, for African leaders to come to the podium and to speak like Africa must be united, Africa needs to be prosperous, Africa needs to be flourished, Africa has such kind of potential, this potential, that potential. But we need to translate that speech to action, and this is exactly what has been done in Addis Ababa today. Pulse of Africa and AGA Enterprise has organized African Social Media Influencers Summit, and that has brought together more than 200 influencers from across Africa, and it has created an awesome opportunity for influencers to meet each other, to network each other, and to influence together. The unity of Africa is expressed within Africans, isn't it? So African Social Media Influencers influencers today have been visiting many places, many iconic places in Addis Ababa, and earlier on they have been visiting Addis Ababa International Convention Center. And Gametis, let us take a look at their visit at Addis Ababa International Convention Center, and we're gonna come back to share other information.
Something powerful is already happening. Over 200 content creators sitting together, aligning, questioning.
Deciding what Africa's digital future should actually look like.
Because this isn't just about content anymore.
It's about direction.
Millions of followers and millions of eyes.
Now moving with shared purpose.
Stories are being shaped with intention.
Narratives are being clarified.
Agendas are being defined.
Because when Africa speaks in fragments,
It gets misunderstood.
But when it moves together,
It becomes undeniable.
what's happening here doesn't stay here. It reaches the world. This is the African Social Media Influencer Summit.
Welcome to the Pulse of Africa, your gateway to Africa's vibrant stories, voices and visions. Join us every Monday and Wednesday for POA in Depth, where we provide sharp analysis of pressing current affairs, keeping you informed and engaged. Tuesdays feature the Africa We Want, dedicated to the African Union's Agenda 2063, discover Africa's journey toward a prosperous and integrated future. On Thursdays, tune into El Dorado, highlighting Africa's rich natural resources and how they can drive true prosperity. Fridays bring you Roundup, where seasoned journalists discuss enduring issues shaping our continent's destiny. Saturdays showcase the editorial, offering Pulse of Africa's perspective on Africa's challenges and opportunities, and celebrate the notables, recognizing remarkable Africans making a difference. And don't forget, Sundays are for Africa Melody, honoring our culture, music and entertainment. So tune into the Pulse of Africa and experience the vitality of our continent every day of the week. Subscribe now. More than 200 social media influencers from across Africa have been gathered here in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, the political and diplomatic heartbeat of the continent. And they are gathered here for a single yet a powerful, big purpose, and that's to shape and reshape the narratives of Africa. This super important continental summit, African Social Media Influencer Summit 2026, ASMIS 2026, has been organized by Pulse of Africa and AGA Enterprises. And today, African social media influencers have made a quick tour to the city of Addis Ababa, and they have visited so many iconic places, such as, for example, Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute, Riverside Projects of Addis Ababa, Addis Ababa International Convention Center, Adwa Victory Memorial Museum, and sport parks and other iconic places in the city. Coming to you, Gemet. I hope the social media influencers from across Africa have made a very productive stay in Addis Ababa. And of course, this summit, African Social Media Influencers Summit, will stay till tomorrow. And they're going to entertain and they're going to discuss on various agendas, issues such as artificial intelligence, digital technology, monetization in social media, and most importantly, ways of reshaping African narratives. As we said, African narratives has been wrong, has been stereotyped. I mean, African narratives has been, inaccurate and incomplete, and it has been the responsibility of today's generation. It has been the responsibility of writers, journalists like us, bloggers, Facebookers, YouTubers, media personalities, media professionals, social media influencers, to change the stories of Africa, to change the skewed narratives of Africa. And as a part of the summit, African social media influencers, like I said, have visited many places in Addis Ababa today. How did you get their visit, Gamech?
Well, I got visits, a wonderful visit. As we have observed, of course, they enjoyed their visits, their respective visits. Well, starting from Ethiopian AI Institute, Riverside Project, Adwa Victory Memorial Museum, and Addis Ababa International Convention Center and Sport Park. In all these spots, of course, they, we can say, enjoyed and have drawn good lessons, which may have implications for their countries, for their respective countries. And today, well, nothing very serious matter was not entertained, but tomorrow I hope and expect that how do we go about these? As you said earlier, how do we create positive narrations about Africa based on what they have visited today? And at this moment tomorrow, of course, they will be talking about things very much seriously. And how do we go about them? Because these are very serious matters. Changing narrative is not an easy thing, and it is something that requires you a lot of work. And it doesn't come, just in a night. And this has been, going on for quite too long. And now You must be, you know, kind of creative. You must be dealing with the situation in a way that is very much informed. So how do we go about it is the very question that they will be asking themselves tomorrow, I expect. And there will be experts, professionals on these issues that will give them directions, insights into how they go about it. And hopefully government officials, Ethiopian government officials, and maybe respective government officials from the countries of these influencers will also take part. So they will really provide, you know, just the kind of support these influencers need. And so today, just they've had, you know, a visit to these iconic places, as you said earlier. But tomorrow, they just come up. They start, you know, just to engage in the homework, in the assignment, and they'll be talking about very critical matters, and especially how do we succeed in creating African narratives that will benefit Africa in general, that will fight stereotypes that have been going for quite too long until today. And tomorrow will be, you know, just a moment for these influencers to exchange ideas, to exchange insights into how to go about changing African narratives.
Yeah, lots of positive stuffs have been happening in Africa. We see bustling take-up in Nairobi, Kenya, and we encountered like burgeoning creative industries in Lagos, Nigeria, and we see corridor developments in Addis Ababa, and we have encountered enormous infrastructure developments in Ethiopia, energy infrastructure, for example, green development, for example. We see, for example, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. Lots of positive things have been happening in Africa in terms of development, in terms of political development, in terms of economic growth, and so on. You know, we are very much encouraged that out of 10 fastest economies in the world, 6 are found in Africa, and countries such as Cote d'Ivoire, Ethiopia, and Ghana are consistently recording and registering fast economic growth over the past few years. And this is, you know, a monumental achievement in Africa. But such kind of positive and encouraging stories have been downplayed, really downplayed by the negative stories, the negative stereotypes on Africa, and this has to be reversed, and it's going to be the responsibilities of African social media influencers. I mean, this African social media influencers ASMIS 2026 has brought together more than 200 influential figures, social media influencers from across Africa, and this is going to be a huge opportunity for influencers to network with each other. You know, yesterday I was following the conversation that our colleague, reporter Tensai Gabeo made with African social media influencers, and one of the influencers from Swatini said, like, network is net worth. Yeah, network is networks. If we effectively translate that network to positive outcomes, you know, the significance of network is immeasurable. So the fact that Africans from across different parts of the continent are connected with each other is a great opportunity for them to strive and to work together to change the current circumstance of Africa, in particular in terms of narratives. You know, Africans, for example, if you ask one Senegalese, you know, more than his neighbors, more than, for example, Ghanaians, he knows a lot about, you know, Londoners, I mean, or he knows a lot about London or Paris or Rome, more than his neighbors. For example, if you ask Ethiopians as well, you know, we can talk a lot about Dubai or London or Washington, but we don't talk a lot about our neighbors, such as, for example, Tanzania or Uganda. You know, that shows you the fact that Africans are not connected. You know, connection, to be connected, to be integrated, demands huge investment, and we need to invest. You know, we need to put lots of effort. We need to put money. We need to put time, and we need to, after all, we need to give focus. I mean, if we are focused, if we are, you know, willing, you know, there is a saying that goes like, if there is a will, there is a way. So we need to show our will in terms of integrating.
Yeah, external people, institutions, governments, etc., don't have the responsibility to talk about you. the good
Sorry
side
for
of you.
interruption, Government.
Yeah.
We will come back to your idea, but this is African social media influencers visit at Ethiopian sport park. You know, recently we see burgeoning sport park in the city of Addis Ababa. You know, much of the history of Addis Ababa has been, you know, associated with its capacity and its history of hosting political conferences and political summits. But recently, Addis Ababa has been a center of entertainment, a center of sport as well. We have encountered many sports people from Africa and around the world visited Addis Ababa, and this has shown the significance of Addis Ababa in terms of culture, in terms of entertainment. And you know, Addis Ababa has taken initiative, Ethiopia has taken initiative to organize this African social media initiative, and it tells you the fact that Ethiopia has continued to be in the right side of history when it comes to the issue of Africa, the issue of black people. You know, the issue of narrative at this time for Africa is one of the biggest agenda and Ethiopia is entertaining this super important agenda in various platforms, and this really starts from Ethiopian Prime Minister His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed. He has been a proponent, advocate of African unity, and he has been, you know, making a speech about the necessity and imperatives of changing the narratives of Africa. I remember one of his speeches that he delivered at the African Union Summit, and he said that, you know, the world view of Africa is, you know, impacted by the negative narratives and stereotypes on Africa. But not only that, you know, international media, global media narratives of Africa not only shape the way the world views Africa, but the way Africans view ourselves. So Ethiopia, starting from the Prime Minister of the country to, you know, media personalities, we are showing, you know, a great deal of commitment and dedication in terms of changing the narratives of Africa, because it all starts from narrative, by the way, governments. You know, you are as big as your thought, governments. For example, if you feel inferior, you're going to be inferior and you will live inferior, you die inferior. But if you know your treasure, if you know your wealth, if you know what you can do, you know, you can utilize your potential and you can live up to your potential. You can utilize your potential. So to change Africa, the idea, the notion of His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed is to change Africa. We need to start from changing the narratives of Africa. We need to show the potential of Africa. And such kind of sport parks, for example, are signs that Africa can do, Ethiopia can do. So this will be, I think, a good note for African social media influencers. You know, we have seen such kind of sport parks in Europe or America, but recently we are glad that we are observing such kind of beautiful sports parks in Addis Ababa, and this is going to be one of the unforgettable memory that the African social media influencers will take to their respective country governments.
Yeah, this Addis Ababa Sport Park, as you have seen, it is, you know, a full package. Look, you know, we have fields, football field, we have bicycle lanes, and you can also play basketball, volleyball, etc. And it is as big as anything. And you have, you know, sections where separate games, you know, can take place in different spots of this park. And obviously it is as huge as you can see it, and it allows people, young people especially from the surrounding areas, to come over and play here, play on this ground. That's a very good thing, and this park, you know, can replicate, you know, elsewhere in the city and in the country as well, and maybe in the rest of African countries as well. And well, this requires, of course, huge investment. It's not easy to build, you know, such an infrastructure.
Sure.
But if there is collaboration, and especially if, say, those people who can afford to contribute for such a ground engage in supporting, in giving a hand, then we can realize, you know, this sport elsewhere in Addis Ababa and in the country as well. Now, sport is, you know, something that we cannot ignore, as I mentioned it earlier, and in experts in the field critically, you know, just tell you that if schools don't have, these facilities, then
Yeah.
the health of the school community, gets compromised, and people who engage in sport activity, just will live longer, and this is, scientifically proven. And especially when people get, older, they need to engage in exercise. They need these facilities to kill, just the fat that possibly could lead them to, for example, blood pressure, high blood pressure.
Exactly.
And these kinds of facilities can really be replicated further in Addis Ababa.
Yeah, that
Ethiopia, may not be limited with this facility. This is a very good model for both the city and the country, and for anyone, who happens to visit it.
That is absolutely beautiful. That's definitely fantastic. As you can see, African social media influencers are enjoying with football as well, and that's really quite an amazing thing for them to visit. And as you said, Gamachis, this allows residents of Addis Ababa to live a very dignified life, and of course they deserved it. And it shows the commitment and dedication of the government. It is not an easy task. It is really a tough assignment, which needs a huge investment, and the government has put a significant amount of investment to the construction, to the building of such kind of spectacular sports parks. And Gamachis, as we are approaching to the news hour for Pulse of Africa, I think we need to wrap up our conversation. And today we have been making conversation, and we have been, making live stream of African Social Media Influencer Summit since morning. And African social media influencers have visited enormous iconic places, such as, for example, Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute, Riverside, Adwa Victory Memorial Museum, Addis Ababa International Convention Center, and finally Sport Park. And this is really a great experience for African social media influencers. And I wish they're gonna promote, I hope that they're gonna promote such developments in Addis Ababa. And of course, the major purpose of, taking them to such visit is to give them a glimpse into Addis Ababa, because we say that Addis Ababa is the center, the political and diplomatic center of the continent. And the ASMIS, African Social Media Influencer Summit 2026, is still going on, and tomorrow they're gonna sit down for in-depth discussion of things such as artificial intelligence, digital technology, and most importantly, African narratives, the issue of changing African narratives. And as we wrap up and conclude our discussion, Gamachis, let us leave our audience with a powerful African proverb that goes like, until the lion starts to speak about itself, the story of the hunt will always glorify the hunter. Let me repeat this super important African proverb. Until the lion starts to speak about itself, the story of the hunt will always glorify the hunter. What does it mean to Africa? Until Africa starts to speak about itself, the story of Africa will always glorify the colonizers and neo-colonizers. And it's going to be the responsibility of each and every one of us to shape and reshape the story and narratives of Africa. Dear viewers, many thanks for watching us, and our news hour is coming up. Our news presenter is in front of us, and she's going to join you. But with regards to our live coverage of African Social Media Influencer Summit, we end up here, and the news hour is coming up. Many thanks for watching, and stay tuned with the Pulse of Africa, the face and voice of Africa.
Something powerful is already happening. Over two
continent rewriting its story in real time, a digital generation rising with confidence, and Addis Ababa becoming the meeting point of Africa's creators, innovators, and storytellers. Tonight on Pulse of Africa, the African Social Media Influencers Summit, ASMIS 2026, officially gets underway in the Ethiopian capital, bringing together some of the continent's most influential digital voices for a landmark gathering focused on innovation, unity, and Africa's digital future. From artificial intelligence and urban transformation to cultural creativity and authentic storytelling, Africa's top influencers are experiencing firsthand the progress, identity, and ambition shaping a new continental narrative. We begin tonight with the official opening of ASMIS 2026 and influencers tour across some of Ethiopia's most iconic innovation and cultural landmarks. The African Social Media Influencers Summit ASMIS 2026 officially opened today in Addis Ababa, bringing together some of the continent's leading digital creators, storytellers, and online personalities for a landmark gathering focused on innovation, culture, and Africa's digital future. As part of the opening program, participants toured several of Addis Ababa's most iconic and forward-looking institutions, including the Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute, the Gulelet Injera Factory, the Addis Ababa Riverside Development Project, and the Adwa Victory Memorial Museum, the official venue hosting the summit's formal sessions. The pre-summit visits were designed to give influencers first-hand exposure to Ethiopia's technological progress, cultural heritage, and urban transformation, while showcasing the type of African success stories ASMIS 2026 aims to amplify to global audiences. Organized by Pulse of Africa in collaboration with Agatech Enterprise on the theme Creating Impact for a Better Africa, ASMIS 2026 marks the first continental summit dedicated specifically to African social media influencers and digital creators. Organizers say the summit seeks to strengthen collaboration among African creators while promoting authentic storytelling, responsible digital engagement, and a stronger, more unified African narrative in global media space. One of the key stops on the tour was the Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute, which aspired to become Africa's leading AI research and development center by 2030. The institute is playing an expanding role in developing AI-powered solutions across sectors, including agriculture, education, healthcare, and digital services. Ethiopia's growing leadership in digital transformation has also gained continental recognition, with Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed recently appointed African Union Champion for Artificial Intelligence and Digital Health. Throughout the tour, influencers encountered living example of Africa's modernization, innovation, and economic transformation, precisely the narratives ASMIS 2026 hopes to project to the world. Now, let's look at the footage on the visit. Influencers experience Ethiopian culture at Gulelet Injera Factory. As part of the cultural exchange program, African influencers attending ASMIS 2026 visited the Gulelet Injera Making Women's Group in Addis Ababa, where many experienced baking Ethiopia's iconic injera for the very first time. The visit offered participants a closer connection to Ethiopia's rich culinary traditions and community-based local enterprises. Inside the busy production center, local women demonstrated the traditional process of preparing injera, Ethiopia's staple flatbread made from teff flour using large clay baking plates known as millet. Influencers gathered around the baking stations, eagerly attempting to master the delicate pouring technique used to create the bread's signature circular shape and soft texture. The experience generated excitement, laughter, and countless social media moments as participants celebrated both successful and failed attempts while learning about the cultural importance of injera in Ethiopian society. Organizers say the visit reflects ASMIS 2026 broader mission of encouraging African creators to showcase the continent's cultural richness, tourism potential, innovation, and local success stories through authentic African storytelling. Again, we have a video on this report. Let us watch it. Riverside Project and Adwa Memorial showcase Ethiopia's transformation. The influencers also continued their engagement with visits to two of Addis Ababa's most symbolic landmarks, the Addis Ababa Riverside Development Project and Adwa Victory Memorial Museum. The visit provided participants with a closer look at Ethiopia's ambitious urban transformation efforts alongside one of Africa's most historic symbols of resistance and unity. At the Riverside Development Project, influencers explored Ethiopia's vision for modern city development, tourism expansion, and public space revitalization. Many described the project as a visible example of Africa's growing infrastructure development and modernization. The delegation later toured the Adwa Victory Memorial Museum, which stands as a tribute to the historic Battle of Adwa, the landmark African victory against colonialism that continues to symbolize independence, resilience, and Pan-African pride. The experience bridged Africa's historic legacy with its rising digital future, reinforcing the summit's call for unity, authentic storytelling, and African-led narratives on the global stage. As ASMIS 2026 continues in Addis Ababa, as summit is not only about digital influence, but about redefining how Africa tells its story to the world through its own voices, perspectives, and experiences. How was the visit looks like? Let us watch the video. And as influencers witness Ethiopia's transformation firsthand, discussions are also turning towards the future of Africa's digital economy and the growing role of technology in shaping continental narratives. The African Social Media Influencers Summit, ASMIS 2026, continues in Addis Ababa, bringing together leading digital creators from across the continent for a series of engagements centered on technology, innovation, and storytelling. As part of the program, participants visited the Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute before proceeding to the Gulelet Injera Factory, Riverside Development Iconic Adwa Victory Memorial Museum, and Addis International Convention Center. The visits expanded discussions beyond technology into culture, identity, and the role of African creativity in shaping global perceptions. The experience underscored how innovation and tradition can intersect in building a modern African digital economy that reflects both heritage and progress. The delegation is also exploring how artificial intelligence and social media can help bridge gaps between African countries while strengthening a shared continental voice at a time when digital platforms are increasingly shaping public opinion and cross-border conversations. The visit further highlighted the growing influence of artificial intelligence on content creation, with discussions noting how AI is rapidly transforming the production, distribution, and consumption of digital content across the continent. Speaking to Pulse of Africa during the tour in Addis Ababa, the influencers emphasized the need for stronger collaboration among African creators to reshape global perceptions of the continent. Lesotho-based digital creator Mavele de Infinity called for stronger African unity, stressing that borders should not divide the continent's shared identity and future.
Is doing such an amazing job. Now I'm also into music space. Now AI can record music for me. I just tell it, hey, I want this song that sounds like this. It does everything for me. So it has made life easy for us, because now there are a couple of things that we are not able to do, but now because of AI, it's easier for us to ask questions and get replies immediately and be able to improve our skills on our content creator space area. My expectations from this visit is to make sure that I come here with the knowledge, with the better relationships from all the content creators who are here, who are coming from different countries. Because remember, we are all one big family as Africans. We are just being divided by the borders. If it wasn't of the borders, we would be one thing, one big family. You understand? You're Lesotho, you're Botswana, you're Swaziland, you're Ethiopia, all the Africans, you're Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana. So we're one big family. You understand? So I'm here to connect with all social media African content creators and make sure that we improve our skills. I go home to Lesotho knowing things that I didn't know before I come here. Fellow Africans, let's be one thing. Let's be one big family. Let's stop this thing of saying you are from Ghana, you are from Kenya, you are from this. We are one big family, and Africa must unite. We must stand together to fight for our resources, because we have got so many resources as the Africans. So let's stand together and fight for our resources. Let's fight for our happiness. Let's be one thing, and let's stop dividing ourselves.
Eswatini comedian Gogo, on one of the popular comedy duo, praised the technological and agricultural innovation observed during the visit, noting their potential to inspire broader continental development.
My name is comedian Koko. I'm from Eswatini. Eswatini is a small country, a kingdom country located in between Mozambique and South Africa. Yes, with a population of plus minus. I'm very excited. I'm at home away from home. This is my second home. I'm very, very excited. And thank you so much for having us here in Addis Ababa. We are looking forward to invite you to come and experience Eswatini as well. The hospitality is almost the same. Eswatini is a small country that is rich in culture. But your development, your infrastructure, guys, it's amazing. Your infrastructure is amazing. We are so happy to be here. A lot, and I think we have something to take back home, especially the innovation of drones, agriculture drones. I love that. I love that. And I think we need to amplify these ideas so that Africa can know that there are some good things like this in Ethiopia. As a content creator, you need to be well informed. So it helps us in terms of searching information. It helps us in terms of giving us different dynamics in a very short space of time. So we can't run away that the time is revolving. So AI is there to assist us. We have to associate ourselves with AI in order for us to be relevant.
South Sudanese content creator Raya highlighted the growing influence of digital platforms in reshaping Africa's global image and empowering creators across the continent.
During my visit, I've experienced a lot of things in this short time, and I love everything about Ethiopia. I love everything about Addis Ababa. Addis Ababa is really beyond. There's a way you guys are going so hard, each and every day. I think you guys are constructing, not really resting. And your country is so beautiful, and your city is really good. I think it's the capital city of Africa, and we love it so far. There's no need to go to America when we have Addis Ababa. Yes.
Is that your first time to visit Addis Ababa?
Yeah, it's my first time to stay here for some days. I always pass just at the airport when I'm traveling. Yes. For us as content creators, we are actually not going to change a narrative. Rather than you, maybe the African leaders of African big people, to at least give us the way forward and empower us as African creators. Yes, developers, because it's just them to like put us up there and also grow us to be better people, give us the tools that we need as African creators. We really struggle with the many things, right? We struggle with many things, and if they really put us and think that content creation is something else, and maybe content creation can really change. Of course, as for us, we are not going to stop. We are just going to try every day until that time is going to come. So we are not giving up, but to the rest that are also trying to come up, content creation is okay, it's good. We are here today in Addis Ababa, it's because of our content creation. It's because of our influence, that's why we are here. Other African countries should really learn, even my country should learn and put AI into consideration, because we are not separating with AI. We are not, for us that are on social media, for us that are into this, we are not separating with the AI. AI need us and we need AI. So we should just put it into consideration and use it in a positive way. Let us just prioritize the positivities that comes with it. The last message I can tell them is never stop. Keep on doing what you're doing, and if the money you have can't take you for maybe vacation or anywhere else, your voice, your content will take you anywhere in this world.
She further encouraged consistency and resilience among young creators in the digital space, emphasizing that digital influence requires patience, discipline, and purpose-driven storytelling. As the summit progresses, participants continue to reinforce a shared message: Africa's digital future will be shaped by its own creators, driven by unity, innovation, cultural pride, and authentic storytelling rooted in Africa's realities. But beyond innovation and infrastructure, ASMIS 2026 is ultimately centered on something even bigger: reclaiming Africa's story through African voices. The African Social Media Influencers Summit, ASMIS, has officially begun in Ethiopia's capital, bringing together leading digital creators across the continent in a shared effort to reshape Africa's global image through storytelling, creativity, and digital influence. The summit arrives at a time when Africa's digital space is expanding rapidly, powered by a young, highly connected population. Influencers now play a major role in shaping public opinion, culture, and even economic trends. However, concerns remain that Africa's story online is often fragmented or influenced by external narratives. ASMIS 2026 seeks to address that gap by amplifying authentic African voices and strengthening collaboration among creators. Ahead of the summit discussions, content creators gathered at Pulse of Africa POA studio in Addis Ababa, where they reflected on their experiences and responsibility of representing the continent on the global platforms. Sierra Leonean digital creator Boys Krish said his arrival in Ethiopia challenged many global misconceptions about Africa, praising the country's beauty, hospitality, and cultural richness.
You know, when you land here at night, there you know how beautiful this country is.
Yeah.
And when you land here, you will know the world is wrong about Africa. And I think this country makes it wrong about Africa.
True.
Because you see in the light of this country, Addis Ababa, it's beautiful. And from the landing to the food, then very special, especially the tea. I'll have to take it to my country. I love that tea, very strong. Yeah. So the country is very beautiful, and you people are so nice.
For many participants, ASMIS represents more than a networking event. It is a platform for reclaiming African identity through content creation. Eswatini comedian Gogo emphasized that Africans themselves are best placed to tell their own stories.
It's so interesting, we can't even have enough words to describe the happiness we have in as far as this is concerned. But to us, it's the cultural diversity coming together to exchange experiences, to exchange cultures, to exchange audiences, and this is going to amplify our voices from all the walks and corners of life in putting the picture out there in as far as how beautiful Africa is to the outside world.
His fellow creators one highlighted the importance of humor and entertainment in bridging cultural and informational gaps across audiences.
I still believe that comedy is the right vehicle to share sensitive or formal or informal information across the continent, because it's so simple for anyone to consume an information in a relaxed manner, in a relaxed environment. Once you turn that environment to be too serious or too formal, it then tends to be difficult for that person to digest that information that you are sharing. But if you will bring it in a humor way, then it tends to be very simple for that person to understand and find that person taking that information and sharing with more people, of which it can then reach more mileage in a very short space of time.
ASMIS 2026 brings together influencers, creators and media stakeholders from across Africa and the diaspora under the discussions focused on the future of content creation, audience engagement and the role of digital platforms in shaping modern African narratives. The initiative focuses on collaboration, responsible content creation and promoting Africa-led storytelling on global platforms. As the summit unfolds in Addis Ababa, one central message is emerging from participants. Africa is no longer waiting to be defined by others. It is actively defining itself through its own voices, creativity and digital innovation. From artificial intelligence and cultural heritage to digital storytelling and continental unity, ASMIS 2026 is emerging as more than a summit. It is becoming a powerful statement about Africa's future. As creators from across the continent gather in Addis Ababa, one message continues to resonate clearly. Africa is telling its own story through its own voices, its own innovation, and its own vision for the future. And Pulse of Africa will continue bringing you full coverage of ASMIS 2026 as the continent's digital revolution unfolds here in Addis Ababa. I am Adele. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.
The very first African Social Media Influencer Summit is underway here in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. This landmark event has brought together prominent digital voices from across Africa, engaging in vibrant discussions about reshaping the continent's narrative. As part of the summit, participants have been exploring Addis Ababa's most iconic sites. Influencers visited, for example, the Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute, the Gulele Women in Jera Entrepreneurs Initiative, the Riverside Project, the Adwa Victory Memorial Museum, Addis Ababa International Convention Center, Made in Ethiopia Expo, and finally, Arada Park. Arada Park is situated at the heart of the city. The story of Arada Park is one of remarkable transformation. What was once neglected space has now become a shining example of integrated infrastructure and land use efficiency. This is more than just a park. It is a green urban sanctuary at the very heart of Addis Ababa. Out of its 40 hectares, 15 have been dedicated to lush greenery, serving as a vital link for the city. Arada Park is designed to connect people and places as its core is mobility. With 5 kilometers of asphalt roads, 6 kilometers of pedestrian walkways, and dedicated tracks for cycling and running, it encourages a healthier, more active lifestyle. Beyond the greenery, the park is alive with culture and modernity. It houses a state-of-the-art sport arena with a gym and 7 halls alongside 8 plazas and amphitheaters built to host international standard arts and social events. Gamets, we are providing live transmission of African Social Media Influencer Summit, which started today, and it's going to continue till tomorrow. African Social Media Influencer Summit has indeed brought together more than 200 digital voices such as TikTokers, Facebookers, YouTubers, and other social media influencers to Addis Ababa, and they started a visit to most iconic places in Addis Ababa this morning, and they have been visiting various places, including, like I said, Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute, Adwa Victory Memorial Museum, Addis Ababa International Convention Center, and finally, at this time, they are visiting Arada Park, which is located and situated at the very heart of Addis Ababa, and it has been serving as a recreational center, and it's allowed peoples of Addis Ababa to pursue kind of healthier and active lifestyle. I think you have been to Arada Park more often.
Yes, of course, I drive through the park, I would say, most of the time, and I always have been astonished by what I see when I just, crossed, the road there. And for you, surprise, this is, Arada Park in general can be taken as a special example for the kind of, village we need to have not only in Addis Ababa but elsewhere out of Addis Ababa. Look, this Arada Park is built for movement and active lifestyles, and as you mentioned it earlier, it exemplifies a modern approach to city planning, and of course green spaces are integrated with recreation, commerce, culture and infrastructure to create a dynamic multi-purpose environment. You just go there, I always get astonished because I see everything I aspire to have around me, around the place where I live. We have, this roads around me for people and for cyclists, okay? Pedestrian sidewalks are also there, and for instance, this is a park built for movement and active lifestyle, emphasizing mobility and health. People will have a chance to run on the sidewalk.
Yeah, it's exactly what we are looking now on the screen is African social media influencers enjoying at Arada Park, a very iconic place in the center of Addis Ababa. And like we said earlier on, various social media influencers such as Tenge Tenge of Uganda, Wedi Maya of Ghana, Dilish Matthew of Namibia, Zero Brainer of Tanzania, William Last of Botswana, Adonai of Ethiopia, Brain Jota of Nigeria, and many other social media influencers have been engaging this phenomenal summit, which has been underway. And African social media influencers have started the summit today with a visit of various iconic places. And the video speak by itself. For itself. This is a spectacular view of Arada Park, and the night view of Addis Ababa has also been transformed. In the prior days, you might not see Addis Ababa like this, but today, you see sparkling lights at Arada Park, and you see how African social media influencers are excited, and they are expressing their amusement, and they are expressing their joy through dance, as we can see. And the African Social Media Influencers Summit 2026, ASMIS 2026, which is the first of its kind, is of course organized by the Pulse of Africa and AGA. Both organizations are continental organizations, Pan-African organizations dedicated to voice African voice and dedicated to serve African interests and to present and represent the aspirations and the interests of Africans. And we are very much proud that our Pulse of Africa has been co-organizer of this super important continental summit, African Social Media Influencer Summit. These social media influencers, such as, for example, Tenge of Uganda, Wodi Maya of Ghana. By the way, it's not the first time for Wodi Maya to come and visit Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. He was here in Addis Ababa some few months ago, and he traveled through the city and he captured iconic places like this one, and he has shared the beauty of Addis Ababa to his followers, and he has contributed, he has been contributing for reshaping the narratives of Africa. This is what's exactly expected from social media influencers. They have millions of followers, tens of millions of followers, each of them. And this is going to be a huge opportunity for Addis Ababa. This is quite an opportunity for Africa as a continent, to see that Africa social media influencers are networked and connected and discuss on the future of the continent. And this is the Africa we want. We want the unification of Africa. We want the integration of Africa. We want the strengthness of Africa, and we can drive Africa toward strength, toward prosperity, and toward unity and integration through platforms like this one, Gamets.
Zelalem, the park is a multi-purpose urban destination, as people agree with. And why is that? As you have seen there, the influencers are enjoying their moment at Arada Park. They're dancing. They are also enjoying everything around them, the lights, the fountains, and anything else that they find. It's just like a package, as we were saying earlier. Well, this situation, of course, reminds me of a speech made by a Ghanaian MP, Member of Parliament, after she visited Addis Ababa. She was again very much highly impressed by what she observed. The infrastructure, especially the roads, the sidewalks, the pavements, and the lights, etc., the wide roads, and she just wanted, to have these kinds of urban infrastructure in her own country, and she insisted, MPs, just to vote for it. And I feel, just the same thing is likely to be felt by these influencers who are visiting Arada Park right here. Now, it's just like a very beautiful moment where not only Addis Ababa residents, but also newcomers get astonished by what they see at Arada Park. And this is, of course, a full package environment where you have almost everything not only this swimming pool that we see now, not only these cycling infrastructure or others, but everything else that you see right here is really what every person aspires to have. We can say that people are so happy when they come to a place like this one, and not only during the evening or the night, but also during the day. This place is, very beautiful, very attractive, and you feel like, staying there. By the way, not only the roads and the swimming pools that we see are beautiful, but also this Arada Park incorporates, commercial integration and livelihood support. Look, Arada Park aims to boost local economies through a variety of strategies. For example, in this park we have commercial spaces, and as many as 131 modern shops are pre-allocated to traders displaced from older markets. The Ethiopian government cares a lot about people, especially when they are displaced from their existing places for the sake of building, such parks. And previously, just those people who used to live at Piazza and Arat Kilo and elsewhere in Addis Ababa, who had to be relocated, and especially if they are, business people or people who had, businesses, they are pre-allocated, just with these commercial spaces, and traders, can enjoy these facilities at Arada Park.
This is such a mesmerizing moment, isn't it? African social media influencers are enjoying their time, their evening there at Arada Park, located at the center of Addis Ababa. It is one of the iconic places in Addis Ababa, and we are really impressed and mesmerized with the moment that we are watching right now. This is truly spectacular, and in some way we are a bit jealous of them. We wish we could go there and join them, and we wish a very enjoyable time for African social media influencers who have been here in Addis Ababa for 2-day summit. And let us wrap up our today's live program, Gamachsa. So to give a very brief background to our live coverage, today we have been providing live coverage of African Social Media Influencer Summit ASMIS 2026, and this summit has brought together more than 200 influencers from across Africa, from Nigeria, from Botswana, from Uganda, Tanzania, Kenya, from every part of the continent. And these social media influencers have started the summit today, this morning, and they have visited enormous iconic places in Addis Ababa, such as Artificial Intelligence Institute of Ethiopia, Riverside Project, and things like Addis Ababa International Convention Center. Addis Ababa International Convention Center, Adwa Victory Memorial Museum, and I think it's worth waiting on this super important, spectacular moment. What we are observing there at the screen is really mesmerizing. African social media influencers are enjoying the night view of Addis Ababa in particular. They are, making fun out of this spectacular and sparkling Arada Park, situated at the very center of the city of Addis Ababa.
Absolutely. Well, what I like about these kinds of infrastructures is that they initiate people to have them. Now, Addis Ababa is considered to be, a big village by many people previously. Back in the years, if you remember, some countries stood against Addis Ababa as a seat of the AU, because they were saying Addis Ababa lacked, these kinds of infrastructures. But as we can see now, the Ethiopian government is committed to build such infrastructures in Addis Ababa to make it a city that really can entertain global and regional institutions such as the African Union and others. Now, we have spaces in Addis Ababa that can be transformed into this kind of infrastructure. That's a very good thing. And Arada Park is really a perfect example for an urban infrastructure development that can be replicated elsewhere.
Yes, exactly. This also depicts the fact that Addis Ababa is undergoing through urban transformation, and this is exactly what Africa wants. Africa needs to have such kind of cities which has realized urban transformation. The cities of Africa needs to be convenient and conducive for international investors and domestic investors. One of the dominant narrative that has gone through Africa is that African cities are slum. The global media, in fact, they have been capturing slum areas of the cities, destitute areas of the cities of Africa, and they have been conveying and they have been portraying that dark side of cities of Africa. And it's great that cities such as Addis Ababa has been undergoing through such urban transformation, and this will definitely invite investors. We need more investors to come and to utilize the resources of Africa, and in fact we need to also foster and encourage continental integration in terms of investment. African investors, for example, Gamajis, we know that the richest man in Africa, Aliko Dangote, Nigerian billionaire, he has been investing in Africa a lot, in particular in East African countries such as Kenya and Ethiopia. He has been investing and why he is spending his billions of dollars to Africa is because of his aspiration to see a more prosperous and developed and civilized continent, and such kind of pan-African investors needs to be encouraged. Aliko Dangote decided to spend billions of dollars to Africa because of his goodwill, because of his interest in Africa. But African cities, African countries need to open themselves for investors and need to make their environment conducive. And one of the things that they need to do is to make sure that the cities are livable, the cities are peaceful, the cities are integrated through infrastructures such as, for example, road, railway and airway. For example, if you see Addis Ababa, now we see all things in one. There is road, there is transformation in terms of railway as well, and we see Ethiopian Airlines connecting Ethiopia to the rest of the world. Not only Ethiopia, of course, Ethiopian Airlines is the pride of Africa, and it has been connecting Africa to the rest of the world. And the idea is that cities of Africa need to be transformed, and urban transformation needs to be realized in Africa. And this, what we are observing in Addis Ababa, is could serve as a good role model for the rest of Africans and African social media influencers. I hope we'll catch this lesson and will promote such kind of urban transformation for their followers. And I do hope so that other African cities will follow the suit.
Zalalam, well, the role these influencers play is huge here. Now, investors such as Aliko Dangote, for them to succeed, they need support from everyone. There are obviously stakeholders. For example, the government is one big stakeholder, and other business enterprises or other investors are also stakeholders in this regard, and this public-private partnership is very much necessary, and the role these influencers play is really huge. For example, when they return to their respective countries, I believe that they take it as an assignment. The influencers will go to their communities and tell everyone that they should partner with every necessary stakeholder to realize this kind of reality, to bring about, just the kind of development we want in Africa. Call it, those that require, huge investments. For example, in Tanzania, Aliko Dangote plans to establish a refinery, oil refinery. Some work has begun, and this, of course, needs, some kind of collaboration with the Tanzanian government and their leaders. And again, Dangote just alone cannot, just do all these things. And we understand that the Ethiopian government has realized Arada Park and other similar infrastructure development projects because as well the collaboration it had with the public at large. And this is really very important, and the role the influencers can play here is significant in persuading people, the right people, in this case, the right stakeholders, to involve in a positive way to realize it. And when they see Arada Park, of course, they just wish the same thing for their country. And going back to their country, I believe, just they will tell everyone that they have seen, Arada Park and other good places, beautiful places, which they also want to have replicated in their respective countries.
Yes, African social media influencers, I think, and I do believe that they can play their peculiar role in terms of promoting the good side of Africa for the rest of the world, so that they can attract more investment, they can attract more visitors, more domestic and international visitors. I remember one of the interviews that Wodi Maya of Ghana, a famous Ghanaian YouTuber, he made interview with one African media. I have forgotten the name of that media, but in that important interview, he said that because of the YouTube, because of his video, because of the footage he released through his YouTube channel, international investors are coming to Africa. He was mentioning, for example, countries such as Botswana. He was mentioning countries such as, for example, Kenya. More investors, more visitors are coming to Africa because of his YouTube video. So the significance of African social media influencers, the power, the influence they possess can never be overestimated. They have millions of followers. As a matter of time now, digital media can achieve something big than that mainstream media, traditional media such as radio, newspaper and television can never achieve. So we need to utilize the digital voices of Africa, African social media influencers. It is a great initiative, and this is a great achievement for Pulse of Africa and AGA Enterprises, because the two Pan-African organizations have brought together more than 200 social media influencers to discuss about the future of digital media, and to discuss about the peculiar role and responsibility that they need to take in terms of promoting the positive achievements of Africa, in terms of balancing the narratives of Africa. I think they started their visit today, this morning, and they started their visit with Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute, one of the iconic places in Ethiopia. And they culminated their 2 days visit with Arada Park, a very iconic place situated at the very center of Addis Ababa. And this evening they have been enjoying at Arada Park, and it was mesmerizing to see them enjoying at this beautiful and spectacular place. And 2026 African Social Media Influencer Summit, which is the first of its kind, is going to continue till tomorrow. and tomorrow the African Social Media Influencer Summit will deliberate on issues such as artificial intelligence, digital technology, and monetization in the social media, because monetization is also one of the biggest issue as far as social media is concerned, as far as social media influencers' role and achievement and success is concerned. Monetization is a big issue. So they're gonna talk and discuss in depth regarding these super important agendas of social media, agendas of the continent, and we look forward to report tomorrow's conference, tomorrow's summit, by which more than 200 social media influencers engage in, and our reporters from Pulse of Africa will be there, and we're gonna share insights and fresh perspectives and updates regarding the 2026 African Social Media Influencer Summit. What remains to be said, Gamets?
Yeah, let me say what I expect will be entertained tomorrow. Well, we agree that today they've been visiting these iconic places, and now they've been relaxing the whole day, which is a very good thing. But tomorrow they are going to be very much critical with the summit itself, the aim of the summit, and so that they will bring to the stage very important issues. Well, what I expect and I hope to be raised by tomorrow is that how to make access of the internet, for example, for Africans who would join, existing influences. Young Africans, many of them, especially those who live in rural areas, don't have adequate internet connection, strong internet connection. But if they have it, maybe they just will have, opportunities, just to be a very good influencer as these visitors are. And that is a very good thing. And the other one is, of course, how to change the impact of existing algorithm, of course, controlled by outsiders, because these algorithms don't give as much attention and opportunities as they give it to those outside Africa. And monetization, as you mentioned earlier, will be discussed hopefully tomorrow. And all these issues or challenges will be entertained tomorrow by all concerned government officials, leaders of institutions related to the internet or communication, and the influencers themselves. And how is it possible that these barriers will be removed so that the role of influencers will be further enhanced? And I believe, this is something that will happen tomorrow.
Exactly, Gamets. So I think we have had such a productive time today reporting the 2026 African Social Media Influencers Summit. Thank you for your contribution, Gamets, and have a wonderful night.
You too. Thank you.
We have been providing live coverage of the 2026 African Social Media Influencers Summit happening in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, the political and diplomatic heartbeat of the continent. The 2026 African Social Media Influencers Summit started today, and it's going to continue till tomorrow. So by tomorrow, African social media influencers will engage in intensive and in-depth panel discussion regarding things like artificial intelligence, digital technology, monetization in the social media, and most importantly about African narratives. African narratives need to be written by Africans. The narratives of Africa need to flow from the pens of African children. And that brings us to the end of our live transmission of the 2026 African Social Media Influencers Summit. Many thanks for being with us, and goodbye to you all.